The question from Dubled at Gene Marciar. In 2023, Stefan Eustáquio was interviewed after the Nations League final loss to the U.S., and he said that our starting 11 is better than their 11. I think this is even more true now, and our depth is better now, too. Do you agree? I still think it's tough to say that Canada's depth is better than the U.S., because the U.S. just has so many players that are playing at a top level. The 11, though, and the way that they've delivered with the national team recently, I think Canada has that edge. The question that remains, though, is how good is this U.S. men's national team once Pochettino gets them going? And unfortunately, Pulisic goes out, does some little funny dance moves, and that overshadows what was a very good performance from the U.S. against Jamaica, and nobody's talking about how the U.S. looks kind of frightening again against a good Jamaican side. And so it's going to be interesting to see where this U.S. team goes. Pulisic is having an outstanding season, even if we don't agree with his dance moves. But like the U.S., we don't know what their cap is. So I would actually still give them the advantage in this.
Yeah, it's a good question, right? In terms of the 11, I definitely think at the time it was a bit of a reach. Let's be honest, right? Because at the time you'd say what in 2023, Davies, David, maybe Eustáquio. That's about it, right? Like that was kind of the argument where I think now there's a legitimate. So if I'm going like for like, look, I think you take Davies over Jedi Robinson, Anthony Robinson. Love him, great player. But I think Davies gets that edge. He's top class. Jonathan David, that's 2 for Canada. I think Bombito for 3. The U.S. defense did not look the most convincing in either leg against Jamaica. I think Bombito's 3rd. The U.S. goalkeeper situation has been pretty rough. A lot of guys not playing, so I think you could argue Crepeau or based on how he's been playing for Atlanta. I know you're bringing the MLS angle there, but it's not far-fetched based on form. I think you take St. Clair or Crepeau, so that's 4 guys I'd comfortably say, and then the rest could be in debates. Like you always feel like a Kone or Eustáquio, one of the 2 could make it in that midfield. And then that's 5 Canadians. So I'd say it's a lot closer. In terms of depth, though, you mentioned it, and I think the big edge that Canada would have is not depth necessarily in terms of bodies, but in terms of right now what's nice with Canada, all these guys you mentioned, Jonathan David is going to put on that national team shirt and do a job. Davies is going to do a job. Eustáquio, Kone, Bombito. Those are the core guys, the core 5, if you want to call them. But what's nice is, Schaffenberg's going to put on that national team and look great. That Ahmed's putting on that shirt and he looks fantastic. All these other guys, Johnston, Cornelius. You look at the depth guys, right? That come off the bench. Larea, what a series he had here against Suriname. Like Canada has depth that what you have, and I think that's the big thing that Pochettino needs to get out of this U.S. This U.S. pool's good. This U.S. pool's been very good for a while now, but there's been a lot of question marks of how they play for club and country, and I think getting more out of that, we started to see it. Like Tanner Tessman, this window was great for the U.S. That's something if they can get more out of that. Good. Ricardo Pepi looked great, but a lot of times it's been a lot of where do they fit in? I think that's what Pochettino has the biggest shoes to fill, so to speak.
And it might be a little bit tinfoil hat theory, but I wonder whether the political potential unrest in that team actually begins to impact their on-field performance. Because I'm 100% sure that not everybody necessarily agrees with what Christian Pulisic did after scoring against Jamaica, and could that cause some unrest within the team and potentially where they could get to. You wouldn't want to see that necessarily impact the sporting side of things, but we've seen it before in pro sports, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it rock the boat a little bit within that USMNT locker room.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because with this American team, they also do have strong unity. You can see it in this window. Like guys are together, and I think they've done a good job of kind of letting that not get in their way, because it has been something that over this cycle they've dealt with, right? Like the Trump presidency from 2016 to 2020, a lot of these guys were there at the tail end of it. Now they're here now, so I don't know how much of a factor that will play in, but hey, it's always something Pochettino will have to manage. And that's international football. Things can change quick. Canada went from a brotherhood to chaos, back to a brotherhood. Like things can happen fast, so you just kind of got to be ready. And usually winning tends to be a pretty good remedy for any sort of dressing room unrest.
Yeah, well, Stefan Eustáquio dropped the brotherhood buzzword in his press conference last night, and everybody gives a good chuckle whenever that comes up as well.